We're going to talk about bringing your plants out for the summer. Actually, for the spring, summer, and a good chunk of the fall, right? This is what we've all been waiting for, what they've all been waiting for, but there's a way to do it. I'll just tell you one quick story now, and a long one later, and I'll pass this over to Margot in a minute. Years ago, when I first joined the club, so I'd say probably 25 years ago, something like that, I had some nice cacti that were given to me, mellow cactus. They were beautiful, from Jamaica, really nice. And I put them right outside into the blazing sun. And they got burned to a crisp. They got sunburned, they fell apart, it was gross.
And then they died.
Oh God, they were horrible. So I learned a real lesson then, that there's a way to do it, a right way. See, it's a plant you put outside, right? That's it. No, that was not it at all. That was it for them. So I had to start over and learn, and I did learn over the years. Having said that, 2 years ago I killed 50% of all my plants. So we'll get back to that later.
Do I have to hold this right?
I don't know. Hugh, what's the deal with the microphones? Can we talk to this one on the stand or what?
He said we could. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I bring out all my plants except for my mesons, well, most of my mesons. And so Dorotheas, everything. And the thing that I find kills most of my plants, if I'm not careful, are critters. So you need to transition them out carefully because, as Law said, otherwise they'll just get fried to a crisp. And it's sort of, you think, oh, well, cacti love being in the hot sun, but I can't go from being inside to hot sun without a transition time, which I give it about a week. And don't start moving stuff out until I have a big cherry tree in the back that is, once it starts to leaf out, it makes a nice canopy. And then you can transition them into full sun. But it's the critters that, the squirrels, I have tables that things are on and the squirrels run amongst them because my dogs are chasing them and knock them down, and then the rabbits and chipmunks eat them. So that is if I was to say anything about protecting the plants after transitioning them, is to arrange them in such a way that they can be free from critters. So.
All right.
One of the things that used to amuse me years ago, and still does today, when you're driving to work or whatever, and there was first warm day in May, it's 70 degrees, where suddenly all the dracaenas and palm trees and stuff that have been in the house all winter are put out right into the blazing sun on the porch or wherever. Come by 2 days later, everything is brown, burned to a crisp. And you feel like going out and dropping something in your mailbox is to take it easy. Allow the plants to adjust slowly. I learned that from other people's mistakes. You have a cherry tree, I have a big maple, but we have the north or east side of the house with shrubs there. I just put the plants that I do take outdoors underneath them so they get some weak morning sun. And if it's going to be cold, then obviously you don't want to start putting them out yet. But I live in New Hampshire, which if anyone's aware that when they talk about it being 8 inches of snow on the north side of 495, but only 3 inches or nothing on the south side. We're on the north side, and it is true. We still have about 8 inches of snow just north of Haverhill, and you come down here and there's nothing. So we have to wait a little bit longer than you do. Strongly suggest that you resist the urge to go out the first warm day and drag all your plants out. And don't put them in the sun, period. And if it is still cold at night, cover them over with a blanket or something. People don't realize that, your house, the temperature's been pretty steady at 68 degrees or 78 degrees day and night for the last about 5-6 months. And suddenly you put them outdoors, it goes up to 75 in the daytime or 80, and then at night it's down in the 40s. The plants, a lot of them just can't take that shock. So I guess the way to do it is just to wait until the weather is warmer. Another week or two sometimes makes a huge difference.
That's a hard lesson to learn. and it was 2 years ago. A group of us were going out to Utah, and it was April, and it was, so I was torn. I have to get the plants out of the house. I should wait till May to do it, but I couldn't. I couldn't fight off the urge. And I looked at the Weather Underground, which is infallible, and it said that for the next 10 days, it was gonna be nice and mild, and that would get me to the end of April, close enough to May. It's fine, I can do it. Plus, leave your plans for your significant other to take care of when you're away. Huge mistake. So I said, it just won't work, so I'm going to take these guys out. They're going to get an extra 3 weeks because the weather is looking good. And then, I think it was in Salt Lake City when I got the text. 41 degrees, raining. 3 days later, 41 degrees, still raining. Right? They took a huge hit because I had almost all of them outside in the shade, so I never even got any sun when it wasn't raining. And something to remember is this: I've got a lot of plants in the house, and they're on the lights, they're on the LEDs, looks nice and bright. Even if you take your plant from the brightness of your house and put it into full shade outside, that full shade is 1,000 times brighter than what your lights can do. It really is, shockingly bright. So I learned my lesson. And now, religiously, May, first week in May, because the temperatures have stabilized, I never schedule trips for the first week of May. And take the plants out, full shade for 1 week. Now, I'm only talking cactus because I don't do succulents that these guys do. So the cacti go out full shade for a full week. I haven't watered them since St. Patrick's Day, which will be tomorrow. We'll get the last drink of the winter tonight. So they hadn't been watered since St. Patrick's Day. So if it rains on them, fine, they're gonna get a drink. Then the second week of May, that's when the maples are at full leaf. They finally come out, and I move them into the dappled shade under the maple tree. Then the third week of May, that's when they go out into Little Arizona, full blazing sun. And I don't water them all summer, they're good until Thanksgiving. What's that?
Then the last frost happens a week after that.
I know, it's awful. But I like to think that Norfolk's in a little microclimate.
Especially at your house.
Especially at my house, yes.
You talked about the watering for cactus, and I've noted that. What about the succulents? What do you do with watering when you put them out?
That's a pretty broad category. If they're from
That's
areas
why,
such as Namaqualand.
could you knock it down into just some Haworthias or something like that, Gasteras? Could you sort of do that just really?
I've got a greenhouse, and I found that the stuff, especially the South African plants, do a lot better by just staying in the greenhouse with good ventilation. That's when the shade cloth goes on right around now, and it's a 50% shade cloth. When the doors open at both ends, and I've got fans that are on thermostats, and I prefer to do that rather than, for example, so many of the Mesembryanthemums, lithops, etc., they're not summer growers, so the worst thing you can do actually is to put them outside on a table, and within 2 weeks they're all mush because they can't take the rain and the water. They could take the cold, but definitely not the temperature swings that we give them. Yeah, they come from, again, from indoors. In the greenhouse, the temperatures in there have been in the 40s at night, but they'll go up to close to 100, like today. I'm not at home. The doors are open just a bit, but I haven't turned the fans on yet. So I don't put my mesebs out in a lot of the South African succulents.
But those you do put up.
What I do put out, obviously anything that comes from the southwest of the United States, such as agaves or echeverias and the like, they can take much more temperature swings than the others can, and the rain too.
Well, when I put out, I don't put out my mesons either, but But when I put out my Orthias, and when they get into, and I don't really have any spots that are full sun to get baked like that, but it's pretty sunny, and if it's not raining, I water them every day. And they just grow like crazy.
Yeah.
I know Paul puts his Orthias out under shade cloth.
Yeah, I'm filling in for him today. He was supposed to be here, but he has a unique method of bringing out his 200 or 300 Haworthias and sets up the table with the shade cloth on from day one. And so eventually they get all the sun, all the cold, all the heat, whatever nature in New England throws at them, they seem to do very well. Which is interesting because so many of them are winter growers. So they've been growing under lights indoors all winter, and I've never been able to understand how he gets them to acclimate to our climate again in the summertime, but somehow.
Mine do stuff all year round.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't try it, not with some of the plants I have.
I would have the same problem you have, Margot, with anything that's soft getting eaten. So if I put out Echeverias or Sempervivums or even stuff that's hardy, they get eaten. And the only stuff that I can grow year-round outside are some of the apunches and sedums, which apparently aren't very tasty for the mice and the chipmunks and the bunnies. And I have a lot of bunnies that really like these soft succulents. So the only stuff I take out, quite frankly, are my agaves, of which I have about 30. And I take them out in late April, early May. I kind of do the wait until it's close to Mother's Day thing to take them out, because then I don't have to worry about them freezing. And I use Remay, which is
Spun.
it's one of these polyethylene spun thingies, and you can get various thicknesses of it. It provides both shade and temperature control. And I just leave the Remay outside all year, and when it's going to get chilly, I throw it over the plants if I haven't got time to bring them in. But I put Remay over them for a couple of weeks, and then I generally peel it back, or the wind hauls it off. And by then they're okay. And I don't care about watering them, because if they get soaked all summer, they're in really quick draining stuff. So that I've never lost any of them. I take that back. I did lose some when we had like weeks and weeks and weeks of rain. I lost a few agaves, but that's what I don't take out my Gasterias and Haworthias and the other stuff, and I don't take out my itty-bitty cactus, because I'm afraid they will fall over and die.
Remay, for those who aren't familiar with it, is bought. The only place I know that sells it around here is Griffin Greenhouse Supply in Tewksbury, and probably, I'm guessing, somewhere around $75 for a roll that would probably cover half of this room. It's in different widths and different thicknesses, but it is actually great stuff. It's kind of like a blanket. It does allow air movement through it, but will keep the plants warm, say on a cold night when it's getting down into the 30s. It does act as insulation, so it's good stuff to have.
And it lasts for years.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
R-E-M-A-Y.
M-A-Y.
M-A-Y.
Yeah,
And
R-E-M-A-Y.
Remay. And if somebody's desperately looking for some, I have still got some of a huge roll that I haven't unrolled, so.
So for some folks who starting out their collection, and they tend to grow collections, and you really want to treat the plant well, they should be outdoors for the summer, my opinion anyway. And the change that takes place over just a few days is incredible, how they wake up and go, oh, this is wonderful, and they start growing and get green, perk up. It's a great thing to see. I would recommend, if you're just starting out, cacti versus all the rest of them. Especially if critters are your concern. All right? The cactus, the critters come in once, and they never come back. They take one bite. Our friends the rabbits, George, I know George raising rabbits, I have to be careful here. Friends the rabbits who come out, they may do a little nibble. The deer will come in once in a while. Neighborhood kids came through once, and that was the end of that. They did not come back again. And so the cacti in the garden, boy, they're really nice, you know? You can totally neglect them, they put out beautiful flowers, you don't have to worry about weeding or watering or critters at all. So it's the lazy man's cactus and succulent, right, Laurie?
Yeah, my question is, when do you take the cover off the cacti that stayed covered outside?
Yeah, I have a lot of cacti that stay outside all year, they're winter hardy. But I do put cake covers over some of them. And the idea of putting a cake cover over them is so I can eat more cake. Simple as that. I put the covers over them. It has nothing to do with temperature, although it does warm up like a little bitty
It
greenhouse.
keeps the rain.
It keeps the rain, it's to shed as the snow melts and the rain comes, it's to shed it away from the plant, the center of the plant, and puts it out a few inches there. So that's all that is, it's a convenience. Carlos Cristani, who raised his plants outdoors up in Nashua, up in New Hampshire, he never covered his at all. And we had philosophical discussions over that, you know, which is the better way to go.
I will tell you that my Opuntias are right now under about a foot of water, down from about a
For snow.
water,
Water.
because we're on the side of a hill and then it swamped down below. Everything is flooded. Literally, I have a river going right across my driveway. And not to speak of the horses, the miniature horses, my daughter came to it. When she came down this morning, we had that much water across the board. So
One other thought that just
we have to take care of that.
one other thought about the plants, expect them to die, at least a good chunk of them every once in a while, you know. So, you know, don't give up, because that's just the way it is, you know. They're tough plants, but this is the way.
You can buy more.
I was just down in
something.
Philadelphia, and I was we went to a new nursery we've never been to before. There's all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, I was flying home, so Abby's got a van full of plants that she's taking back, because to replace all the stuff that I knew was going to be gone by now. So started off the year with a bang by buying more plants.
What nursery?
Marano's in Fort Washington, which is about 6-7 minutes from where we stayed when we were down there with Abby's family. And has anyone ever been to Lancaster Gardens in Lancaster, Mass? It's a small family business, kind of like that. Really unkempt, great bargains though, and great plants. So if you're looking for,
The stuff that I brought in, the 3 things, those are all from Lancaster Gardens. They were really little when they started out.
it's the sort of place that you can really go in and buy a lot of plants for a little money, they're grown, and they're not as neat maybe as Russell's.
A lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper, and the mealybugs are free.
Yeah, that is one thing you have to be
A
careful
lot of
with.
stuff isn't identified, so you have to,
Yeah.
you may have an unidentified client.
Yeah, but that's-
But that's why you're in the club, so we can identify them for you, and bring them in. On the other end of the season, bringing the plants back in, you don't have to go through the shade and so forth that way. I usually try to make it to Halloween with my plants, and it depends on the weather. I pull it off, you know, probably every other year, you can go past Halloween, into the first week of November with them, but you have to kind of keep an eye on them, and they like a good chill. Again, I'm talking about cactus. They like a good chill, and it seems to get them ready to go to sleep for the winter. So I don't worry about if it's going down to 38 or so, unless it's going to be raining in 38, then I'm going to bring them in early.
Well, that's cacti.
Yeah.
Succulents, I definitely bring them in.
Yeah, and what you have to do is you have to plan panic day, when you screwed up with the weather, it's coming in a day early, and you had no idea you have to bring in
That's a
270
call-
plants in 2 hours. That's when you have your headlamp on at night, and you're running in, and you're dumping them everywhere, right? Dining room table is the first thing to go.
Do your neighbors come over in the morning and find out what happened? Did somebody die? Or what were you doing out there?
They don't come over anymore. They learned years ago. Go on.
Ouch.
You
can also buy rolls of fly net, and then you can roll it over the plants, stick it on with clothespins. If you need to, you roll it over twice. And I have plants that I put in the sun. I just cover them with a couple of sheets of that for 1 or 2
What
weeks.
is it again?
Fly, what do you call it?
Fly net.
Fly net, yeah, it's very inexpensive.
You buy it
How do you
at
spell it?
Army Navy surpluses and stuff, they sell it in rolls.
Yeah, yeah.
FLYNET, like
Well,
for flies?
I'm looking for the right term. You can
You
buy
get it at a camping store or something?
Yeah,
Mosquito
exactly.
net.
Like for
Exactly.
museums.
What do you call
Mosquito
it?
net.
Wait,
we're
that's
talking
Mosquito
about.
net.
It's like mosquito net.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, 'cause that'll-
And you use that for shade?
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, just for the sake of having a marker, if you take a cactus from inside the house and put it outside in the sun, how long will it take before you do damage?
Ah,
An hour?
I think an hour is
if it's, say it's June 27th, all right, it's gonna be burnt by supper time.
Okay, so you're talking about hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it looks like a sunburn. It really looks like it goes red.
Except it's permanent.
Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
it looks
except
like,
it's
I'm
purple,
familiar with
yeah.
that.
My echeveria over there lived in the greenhouse all winter while it's still there, and that's why it has such a brilliant red color, because it got really good light.
A really good light, intense light, right?
But even when I move
You
stuff
take
out of
the
the
cactus and you
greenhouse,
put it outside for half an
still
hour.
have to transition it.
Is that gonna damage it?
What?
If you take the cactus from inside, put it outside in the sun for half an hour, is that gonna damage it?
Yes, yeah.
So where's the cutoff point?
I would say the cutoff point is as you're leaving the house. Don't do that.
But if you think of it, they live in the desert, how do they survive the cold night from the desert and then go in the hot sun in the day?
It's gradual.
Dry.
It's gradual. They're born
I mean, how cold does it get in the desert at night?
Oh, very cold, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
Um,
it's
Yeah, you
almost
can
like
get a
a,
50-degree temperature drop in a day.
I once had a really embarrassing lesson on cultural awareness over that discussion. I was talking to some friends from Saudi Arabia. And being particularly stupid that day, I asked them, why do you guys wear robes in the desert? Because it's so hot in the desert, right? And they say it's not for the day, it's for the night, because it gets so cold. And it makes perfect sense, right? And, you know, they're essentially wearing a wraparound blanket.
But even more perfect sense is to take them off in the daytime, you know?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
then you get
Carry around
sunburned.
hangers, what are you gonna do?
they don't have underwear on, so they can't.
Oh, I think we crossed a few boundaries there. Any other questions?
Yes.
In the, it snowed, incidentally, it snowed in Tucson twice this winter. And you might have seen the pictures online, a lot of snow out there. And it was, during this winter, it was actually colder and snowier there for a few days than here.
And that's where Carlos moved to.
That's where Carlos moved to, big mistake, from New Hampshire to deeper snow.
Did
Well,
you
it's
see
gonna be
the,
interesting to see what happens to the saguaros. Because, no, they will freeze. And they don't, but the thing is that they're slow to die. So in several years, there may be a lot of saguaros that just collapse and go to mush.
So they can take down into the 20s, and I understand.
The organ pipes they'll be in trouble.
Yeah, but again, most of them, when they get cold, they ain't even snow there, it's just probably around 28, 30, and by the next morning, it's up in the 50s again, and the snow is all gone.
Cindy?
That's what kills plants here, is that a lot of them can take the cold, but it's that wet in the spring.
Cindy?
when do you do your first, or maybe only, fertilization for the year?
I never fertilize my plants ever.
When I bring them out, I put Osmocote on.
So you put Osmocote,
The
little
granules.
balls. Yeah, the indoor, outdoor, yeah, the little balls. I put those on when I bring them out, and that's it. And then in the winter, the Corypheas, I'll fertilize them maybe once a month with Neptune's Harvest.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see cacti in their natural environment, what they're growing in is absolute garbage soil. Just sand and rock, sometimes just plain old rock or whatever, and there aren't leaves falling on them, and they're not getting fertilized. And they're fine. So I don't fertilize my plants ever. Tim?
With the same, on the same subject with the fertilizer, now, last summer, I fertilized some of my cactus that I never fertilized before, and I noticed a lot of growth, a lot more growth. I mean, I had a few of them for 5, 6, 8 years, and they just kind of sit there and do nothing. Last summer was the first time I ever noticed any growth on some of them, like significant growth.
Yeah, you can do that. It's kind of like my dog. I used to overfeed it, and the vet would say, "How come your dog's so happy and fat?" He says, "I give her tablespoons, right? It's a lab, you have to feed them anyway, all the time." So the lab will respond, the plants, cacti will respond if you fertilize them.
I mean,
But
like
that's not their natural.
small amount.
Yeah.
I mean, like third of the strength that's
Yeah.
recommended. I mean, because I was afraid to fertilize, to be honest with you.
One of
But maybe I'd
the
try.
perks of not fertilizing them is when you walk into Home Depot, you save a lot of money. See, everybody's buying fertilizer for their plants, not me.
Now, some people fertilize things with like worm casting tea and things like that. Would that be a benefit to water your stuff with something like that, or like a compost tea or something like that? Now,
Too much trouble.
No, I wouldn't bother with that. Did you say worm castings and tea?
yeah, they work a worm.
All right, so I'm a mammillaria growing 30 miles outside of Phoenix in the desert. There's not a lot of tea and worm castings there, so I wouldn't bother. But with these plants, you can't be afraid of them. Experiment with them. Do what you want. Try giving them gasoline or whatever. See what happens. Don't be intimidated. But I mean, maybe it'll take off.
I think Osmocote is better than gasoline.
Gasoline, okay, it's better, yeah.
Well, a couple of years ago, you were talking about azomite. Do you
Yes.
still use that?
I do. And I use azomite on everything, like tomatoes, the veggie garden. Azomite is just ground red rock from Utah. And it's got a lot of trace elements and minerals in it. It's desert material, so I'm not embarrassed to put it, or afraid to put it on
Where do you
my
get it?
dry plants. What?
Where do you get it?
There's a few places to get it. I've got the name of the place online. It's right up near Tower Hill, next town over. There's a place that sells it. It's funny, it's out of a strip mall. It's right next to the massage place. There. Well, I saw Robert Kraft, who was right next to that. Yeah, so he must have been into plants or something to stop to see what was going on. But azomite is a ground, gritty, red powder, because it's all ground up there. And you just toss it out, and the plants do appreciate it. It's got things like molybdenum and, trace minerals, trace elements in it for the plants. Yeah, I do. I put it on the cactus. Yep.
I think it comes in
Lid
65
dogs.
pound.
The lip tops, the color of lip tops, are they gonna have like a chameleon quality, like the surroundings, the color would be to whatever the surroundings are?
For the most part, first of all, if you look at any of the lithops books that we got here, the same species, in one of the books has about 20 different photographs of the same plant from different areas, and they're totally different.
Yeah,
And I've given up, once I lose a label from one of them, forget it, it becomes lithops SP.
How do you know the label was right?
Sorry?
How do you know the label was right?
If it's coming from Steve Hammer, it's right. But the thing is, there's so much variation in so many of them, and how they eventually end up putting a correct name on a plant. I've gotten to the stage, who cares, it's a lithops. You're right.
one other question on the heating bulbs, is there a special, like lumens and Kelvin that you need for the heating
I
bulbs?
can't answer that because I grow in a greenhouse. And
Okay,
we
yeah.
use lights. There are some people that do grow mesons and other plants, like Paul Carberg. He has probably, I'm just guessing, 500, 600, 900 plants under lights.
He's got a lot of lights.
And he eats up the whole town with his lights. And, serious. And,
Yeah, I can see the lights from town hall. I work in the same town as this.
but, and his plants are very happy, but I think they're all generally, of the same, what do you call it, strength or whatever, same number of lumens.
Yeah, full spectrum,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll talk with Paul, yeah, I thought it'd be.
I think we have a book in our library that addresses that issue. If you really want to get into it, you know, what wavelengths to use for what plants, that's specific.
The other person who grew under lights was Ken Sicard. Ken grew every hibiscus under the sun, under fluorescence, and he had them all spaced. I'm saying had because he said he had it with that hibiscus. He's head of a department now in the hospital, so he doesn't have time. But he had his stuff about 6 inches from the lights, and his electric bill was huge.
Just one quick thing regarding soil mix. There's an article in the Cactus and Vegetable Journal, the last one from last year, so they have 4 journals a year, and we have it here. There's an article from some people who've been doing experiments at the Gibraltar Botanic Garden, which is right at the tip of Spain, about 6 miles across the Straits of Gibraltar from Morocco. In any case, they've been in cahoots with Kew Gardens outside of London, and growing plants. They've changed everything, including their outdoor beds in Gibraltar, which is almost subtropical, to red lava rock. Same stuff that we used to use in our grills, except smaller chunks of it. And I remember that they used to use it as a mulch here outside, instead of, now they use stone mulches, but I've been trying to find some of it, but they've come up with the determination that the plants all grow very well in it, mainly because of the nutrients that are inherent in lava rock. If you think about it, all that lava, when it's coming out, is obviously bringing with it some trace minerals, etc. And they've had excellent luck with it. So I've been trying to find it. Found a little 20-ounce bag for $8. Ain't gonna help. I'm looking for 50-pound bags of it. That's gotta be around somewhere. So if anyone sees it, let me know, please.
So that's soil, lava rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now back there.
If you go to Sicily, you'll see cactus growing all over the place with a lot of rock.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
They're only
They grow.
growing because they're throwing out all the leftover pasta.
All right.
So your next trip,
Next trip.
it's a lava rock.
Yeah, here we go.
Anybody have any other questions? We're gonna go into the raffle and auction then. If not, get your raffle tickets out. Anybody have any questions?